We are live. Correct? Yes, we are. Hello. Oh, wait. Need to start recording. Now, every time. If you want to see that extra 2 seconds, you have to watch the whole live stream of the stuff I miss. So, hello, everyone. Tonight, on our weekly Wednesday R1 chats, we're joined by Ideli. Correct? Pronounced
Yes,
Ideli.
correct.
She
Yes.
told me and I completely forgot almost. So, hello, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
All good, cheers. Been enjoying the weather, luckily.
That's
Just,
lovely. I've
it
been
is.
at work.
was Luckily I was at work and I finished at like 12 and I came home and I got to have
Oh, must be
some nice
nice.
fun. Yeah. Well, I had a little nap.
Okay.
That's been good. But I think we got a whole week of it, haven't we? Of the hot weather.
Yeah, tomorrow is about 29 degrees, I heard.
And I'm working all day tomorrow, so that's going to be fun.
Shame. Yeah, I'm not. So, tables turn.
That's all right. We got air conditioning, so I'll be fine. So, yes, would you like to do have you got an introduction for yourself? Who are you and, what do you do?
Um, yeah, sure. My name is Adeli. I am an artist, writer, producer. um R&B artist, R&B soul. But I write whatever, produce whatever. I'm based in East London, but we're transcending location. We're not going to be limited. Um, yeah, I recently released my EP last month, 14th of March. Um, it's called I Wish I Never Knew, out on all platforms, and it's a collection of R&B soul, um, house R&B, Afro R&B. And it's a 7-track project. So, yeah.
And you made it all completely yourself, or was it all in like a studio with?
Um, about 70-80% me. I had co-writers. I have a feature on one song, and I have co-producers, and one song is produced by someone else completely. So,
Fair enough. It's very nice. And how do you go about like making all your own? Was they make all your own beats and everything, or is it?
a lot of my stuff is all me. I either have an idea in my head and I try to figure it out, or I play chords and then build around it, or I find samples and just try and make something and then write to that. It just kind of depends what mood I'm in. And then I either complete it myself, or if I get tired of trying to find the right sound, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna find another producer
Yeah.
to do sound design because I'm over it. Yeah. So
Fair enough. And is that all like a self-taught thing, or did you guys?
um self-taught slash music uni. So there's no one in my family that does music. I self-taught myself how to sing and how to love music, how to do that stuff. But I did go to theatre school because I loved music, and then I studied music B Tech, and then went to music uni. But I didn't study production in music uni, so I kind of learned what I know now from working with other producers and tests, trial and error.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. And how long have you been doing music for?
Goodness gracious. Years, decades. I mean, I studied it when I was at BTech when I was 16, so that's a good while ago. So yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And have you always done R&B or soul, or have you done other stuff?
Um so my voice has always been R&B and soul influenced. There's no running around. There's no running away from that. However, when I went to uni in Leeds, there wasn't much of a R&B scene. Loads of jazz bands, and then everyone else was like indie or electronic. So I kind of did electronic for a bit, and then I did jazz for a bit. So I had a band, and it was kind of big bandish soul type stuff, very heavily jazz influenced, but it didn't really feel like me. It just kind of felt like the collection of everyone who I was working with. Um, so when I came back to London, I kind of just learned how to produce, and then lockdown happened, and then yeah, I've just been discovering myself since then. So yeah, it's not always R&B, and it's not R&B in its traditional and purest form. It is definitely alternative R&B. Um, but yeah, it's still R&B.
And do you find it better? You're better off as a solo artist, or do you still miss?
It's Yeah, pros and cons. I mean, no one's disappointing you but yourself. So if you don't get things done, it's just yourself you have to hold accountable. Which means you tend to get things done quicker. You're not relying on anyone. However, I think a big part of music is collaboration, and a big part of growing as an artist or just growing your network in general is collaboration. So it is still necessary to collaborate, regardless of whether you think you need to or not. I know necessity tends to feed innovation, and limitation also feeds innovation, but sometimes collaboration also does too. So pros and cons on both ends.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because you do if you don't if you're not not quite expanding out, but when you get that other influence in, they sometimes can see when they when you're in with your writing process, they can see they might have a different approach to it to what you've been doing
Yeah,
your whole time, which is a bit like
exactly.
that's an interesting take, and it can inspire you and change. You
Yeah,
know, I go
definitely broadens your horizon working with other people.
absolutely. So you mentioned your EP. How did the recording and everything process go for that? Was it like a year long thing, or was it more like a you just smashed it out and had it already?
It was a 2 year thing. So I knew I wanted to do an EP, so I just started making songs. And then I entered a program called Lamp, where you get put in a group every week and you just have to churn out a song and make sure it's radio ready. Some weeks there's brief, sometimes there's not. And then from that, I just ended up creating loads more in terms of songs. And then I realized that, oh, certain songs could fit together and could paint a story, which was also kind of reflective of what was going on in my life. So then I had songs that I made pre Lamp and then songs that I made during Lamp, and then combined them together to make the EP. And then I was like, okay, yeah, here's an EP. And then, yeah,
Are you proud of it? Do you like it?
I absolutely love it. I'm very proud of it. I'm very happy. Um, it was very fulfilling releasing it, and I was just like, "What's up?" And I actually couldn't do anything for like a week or two. I just felt like, okay, this weight has been lifted off my
Yeah,
chest, stress free. And now I'm in the stage of, okay, what do I do now? Because that was so big, and it took 2 years to happen, and it wasn't necessarily planned. It was planned, but the way it happened was unplanned. So what do I do now? So I'm now just back writing again and seeing and figuring stuff out and trying to gauge what worked well in this EP and what could have gone better, and what route I want to go, because this EP is very, it's the most R&B soul project that I've done, most R&B soul collection of songs that I've done. So it's just gauging, do I want to go back to the more alternative stuff? Do I want to stick with what works? Like, it's just things like that I'm just trying to figure out.
yeah. And it's easy when you have that complete project and you can see it's so nice to look back on, and you can ways to improve. Like you're always improving, especially when you're your own worst critic, really, aren't you? A lot of the time,
Yeah.
and just having the process means, yeah, oh, next time I can do that. You know, you,
Yeah.
you know we can do things better. It's always a learning experience with things like that. And then, have you got any videos, music videos? Do you do music videos, or is it?
I do, but it's expensive to do.
Yeah,
I don't mind. I don't even mind paying for it. It's just, I don't have I'm financed for it. I have a day job that
yeah,
pays for my bills and just about pays for getting the music done, let alone music videos. And there's not a lot of videographers that are doing things for discounted rates or for free. Because I guess for them it's like, no, they need to make, money. It's not
yeah,
like the music scene where you can work with a producer for free on splits, or you can work with a writer or singer for free on splits or expenses. Videographers want to be paid, and then not all of them are directors. So then you do then have to source a director, and then not all of them can. It's just a whole load of stuff. So in my dream world, yes, I would be doing music videos. I do have a couple out. Um, and I'm hoping maybe as the year goes by, I can do some for the EP. I mean, I think I'm trying to get out of the habit of, just because the music video didn't come out straight away doesn't mean it can't come out
yeah.
at all. So you never know. We can see how the year goes. But there's a visualizer for Say No More, which was the lead single. I kind of just did a makeshift bedroom visualizer for Slow Down, which was the second single because I wanted a canvas. And then I used content videos for a couple of the other canvases. So they're not official visualizers, they're just little visual things that are on Spotify when you're
Yeah,
watching a music video, listening to the song rather.
which are quite handy. I remember when they came out and we all like we all scrambled. So we are like, we've got to quickly make something just to put on because everyone was doing it on it
Yeah.
at the time, and it's quite a fun little
It,
thing.
it yeah, and it looks good when you share the song on Instagram
Yeah,
stories. Yeah.
which is handy. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the Instagram, the Instagram reach,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Engagement.
um, I've got a whole question sheet and I've lost where we're at completely. um, do you play live often? Is there many live shows and that in London? What's it like around there?
This year I have been completely blessed and busy, booked and busy. I have done about 2 shows every month. Which for an independent artist is quite a lot because it's like like either the top end and bottom end of a month or like top end, middle, and then top end, middle. So there's been quite a lot of frequent gigs. My next gig is actually tomorrow evening, at Nico's Bar. Link is in my bio. Go check it out. Shameless promo. I had one last week Thursday, and then I had one about 2 weeks ago, and then I did my first Sofa Sounds in February, and then did one literally about a week after. So gigging wise has been quite good this year, surprisingly good, and a few of them have paid, which we're always grateful for
Yeah,
because a lot of gigs at my stage don't pay, and it's either tickets splits or they don't pay at all and they pay you in beer, and I don't drink, beer rather. So it's just like, okay, I don't want a pint.
that.
So yeah, but no, I'm grateful for the gigs I've had, and fingers crossed, by God's grace there will be like more for the rest of the year.
Excellent. And did you go and go to many gigs and concerts and that?
Not as many as I would like to because I work a job that's mainly in the evening. Today I was lucky to get a daytime shift because there was a rehearsal all day for the evening show. So I was lucky to pick up the rehearsal and not have to pick up the evening. But where I work, it's hospitality, so I'm working most evenings. So technically, I do get to see shows because I get to see the shows where I'm working.
Yeah.
They're just not the shows that I would always want to go to or I'd want to buy a ticket to.
Yeah.
Um, but I do try and keep my weekends free so I can go and see shows if I want to see shows, especially like to support my friends and all of that.
Nice. And is there any like artists that would you'd say influence you and your new EP? Were there any big influences you drew from?
I didn't draw from anyone. Okay, tell her like there's one song that it's very K Tronada inspired 100%.
Hmm.
I was just like, I want to make a song that feels like K Tronada produced it because I want to work with K Tronada and I'm gonna manifest that. So I made it, and that's very K Tronada influence. But in terms of the other songs, I just made them. However, like in general, I am influenced by a lot of artists. I think a lot of people say they hear Jasmine when they listen to me, Jasmine Sullivan, and I love Jasmine. I listen to her. I listen to Stevie Wonder, who's someone who influences her as well. So I'm guessing that's where that comes from. I love Ari Lennox. I love Sasha Keeble. Um, who else? I'm drawing a blank, but there's a few people that I appreciate. I think I was raised on a lot of like old school stuff, so like Shaka Khan, Tony Braxton, Whitney, Anita Baker, Barry White. But then I also love like modern people like Janae Aiko, Jasmine Sullivan, Victoria Monet, Ari Lennox. And I think just in general, whenever I'm making music, because these are the people I listen to, they will influence,
Yeah.
but I don't necessarily go, okay, I want to draw from this influence to make it. I try and draw from myself
Yeah.
just so I don't want to end up sounding like someone else. Unless it's like, okay, I definitely want to reference this artist because I want to see if I can pitch this song to them, or I want to manifest working with them. But I just tend to tunnel vision on myself.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, and I did see you were featured on a Timbaland stream, wasn't it? One of your songs.
Featured twice. I've
Twice.
shown him 6. Yeah, I've shown him 6 songs. It's crazy. I got the mission pass twice as well, so that was amazing. And he gave me some very valid feedback, which is what I'm taking on board.
Yeah.
For this next set of stuff, and it means that I've opened myself to working with more writers, especially because I think having a writer in a room is something more artists should do. Like, some artists need to put the pen down and let other people write songs with them and for them, so they're not saying the same thing that has been said over and over again.
Yeah, that's a lot of time what we do, especially with our more recent EP, where we brought all the songs to the producer, basically played them. We're like, oh, is there anything you would change, to be honest? Because we kind of feel like we're dragging the song out too long here or whatever. And, we took his feedback quite well. And sometimes you just got to let go of what you think works. Sometimes it is just a bit like, it's a bit derivative, or, a bit played out, a bit already done. And, they can bring that fresh little zest, I suppose, which 100%. Sometimes you need.
Yeah.
Handy.
100%.
And you're also on a BBC One extra track of the week, wasn't it?
Yes, that was in March, I believe. BBC One extra track of the week. BBC have been so supportive. Shout out them. Like the first week of January, I was Step Up Artist of the Week for BBC Introducing. They've pretty much played every song from the EP. And then I ended up being BBC One Extra Introducing Track of the Week. And it was just like, okay. So I was being played on BBC One Extra for like a full week. And I was just like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's insane. And doing this without a manager, without a label, with a team that I just now realized that, okay, I kind of have a team now, which is great. I've got friends who take my photos, friends who do my content, friends who style me. So it seems like everything's coming together gradually, which is great because I have put in my 10,000 hours. So I'm very grateful that it's paying off.
It's the classic for 10,000 hours. I don't think we've done 10. Well, no, we've definitely done 10,000 hours, probably. Yeah. The amount of driving we do a lot of the time, like, just to get to a gig. And like next month, we're going on tour all in the Midlands. We're doing, it's crazy where we're going. We're going like to like Wales, and then to like Southend. And it's about like, I think it's over like 1,000 miles. No, it's not 1,000 miles. It's about 500 miles to drive in. But across 3 weekends, it's going to be mental.
Are you going to play 500 miles in a car?
Probably. We probably should, because I know it's got to be almost 500 miles, I think we're going to do across 3 weekends. It would have been more, because we were going to play a show up in Scotland, but we're not anymore.
Oh.
That actually would have been 500 miles in one trip. But
crazy.
There's our 10,000 hours on the road, doing random crap in the van. What was I gonna do? Is there anything you do outside of music other than work, or is it just work and music?
I'm really bad. If I'm not working, I'm doing music. If I'm not doing music, I'm working. It's literally work, sleep, music. Because I'm just like, if I have free time, why am I not doing music? I enjoy music, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it's just like, if I'm not doing music, why am I not doing music? Every now and again, I try and meet up with friends just to make sure I'm touching base and being a good friend, because being a passive friend is not something that resonates with me. So I do try and make sure I check in with my friends every now and again. I am religious, so I do try and make it to church as best as I can, but with the hours I work, sometimes it's just very impossible to do so. Well, not impossible, I just don't have the discipline to do so, let's be honest. But that's literally it. I don't do a lot, which is very sad. Very sad.
That's right. Music is an absolute full-time hobby, especially when you're doing it proper or serious.
Yeah.
So it does, even if you're not doing it serious, I suppose it's still a full-time hobby.
Yeah.
Full-time job, nearly. Doing everything. On top of doing everything else.
On top of doing content.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish it was just music and go.
It's not
I blame Spotify, and it's
anymore. And TikTok.
yeah. You gotta be on it, haven't you? Though is the thing.
Yeah.
Where's it don't get anything done? So, is there anything you wish you were told when you were starting out? You know, before, if you could, either by yourself or by someone else. You know, if you could go back in time and tell yourself when you were just starting out.
Work smarter, not harder. Unfortunately, this music industry is not about who works the hardest and who's the most talented. Um, as much as hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, being connected beats all of that. You
Yeah,
know. So, um, it's great if you wanna spend all day rehearsing, by all means, but also understand that you need to go out and talk to people and network with people and make connections and meet the right people and be in the right spaces, because personal connections will play a bigger difference than you just working hard. Unfortunately, because it's a very saturated game. Yes, we're all unique and we all have our own thing to say. It's still very saturated, so work smart, not hard. And if you can work smarter and harder, then kudos to you. Mm.
yeah, it's handy. We found a lot of time going to places and even just going to the place, even if it's at a cost to you to like play there or whatever. And we've always found other bands which we kind of just vibe, just vibe with them a lot. When they invite you back for shows, and then you do all like little swaps and that, which is
Yeah,
it's quite handy. I
yeah,
made some good friends up in strange places and we've never been before, like
yeah.
which is quite good. Sorry, something fell off my desk. Right, and with your live performances, how how do you how do you do it live as a R&B? Is it just you have like a backing track type thing?
Hate backing tracks
Yeah,
when doing it live because you can't. It doesn't leave room to explore when you're with a what I tend to do with a guitarist. Looking forward for when I can start doing it with bands. A lot of venues don't support the infrastructure for having a band during R&B.
yeah,
So right now I've done guitarist, mainly my guitarist, and I've done a couple with my guitarist and drummer on Cajon. But it's just so much free because you feel like, oh, okay, I want to repeat the chorus. I
yeah,
want people to sing back. I want to do this. I want them to play when I'm talking.
yeah.
There's just a lot more leeway than when you're doing a backing track and it's just straight top to bottom. If you miss your cue, you miss your cue. If this happens, if the backing track messes up, it's messed up. So I try and do with my guitarist as much as possible, but every now and again, venues or event curators don't have the facility to do live instrumentation, so they opt you to do backing track.
It was a bit of a shame.
Yeah, yeah, a bit of a shame.
Yes, you do get that connection more, don't you? And it's more with the music rather than it seeming. I don't want to say fake, but it doesn't. It is. What's the word? Authentic. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah,
it feels more in the. You're well more in the moment when you can see there's two or three, four, however many musicians actually playing their craft, and you get the
yeah.
everyone's all dialed in as well, and it's all a bit just a bit nicer as well. And do you usually like? Is it all like a big show? Do you do a big dress up and busting moves?
No, I mean no, not at all. I look good always, but I don't do the. I mean, maybe one day I will. I'm not opposed to it. It's just my experience when you come into my shows. I want you to experience that this is a safe space to do whatever you want, to sing back, to just relax. And I feel like jumping around and boom, hitting an 8 count doesn't really. It gives more entertainer, which again, for some music, for some artists, that works 100%. I think from where I'm at with my music right now, it's not that. It's very much a journey. It's very much conversational. It's very much welcoming, being in the room, forgetting what's happening on the outside for the 30 minutes that I'm performing, and then yeah, we can go back to stressing about bills afterwards.
Nice. And then is 30-minute your big long set, or can you do a longer one?
Longer. I've got more than enough material to do longer, but again, I've only been like I haven't done a headline show yet. I've only been like not an opening act because it hasn't always been a headline act, but I've just been a part of the lineup. So it tends to be 20 to 30 minute sets that they want.
Yeah, which isn't long enough most times.
I
That's
think
always
it's
fun.
really sweet. It leaves them wanting more.
I suppose.
For this stage of my career anyways. I'm not mad. 4 or 5 songs and I'm out.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, we always take ages. We've got like little things we have in between our songs, like little, sounds and extra
Yeah.
little things. Normally when we're tuning guitar, so it's not boring
Yeah.
a lot of the time. But it does draw it down. It's like, oh, now we've got all this. Now we can only do like 5 songs. It's like we don't know if 5 songs is enough a lot of times
Yeah.
to get us in. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing to have too many songs. Or
It's always good because then you can just pull out one when you need to. And, I'm looking forward to that day when I get there in my career. But right now, as a up and comer, I guess I'm enjoying that. Okay, 20 minute set because then I leave people wanting more. And it's like, well, then come to my next show.
yeah.
Listen to my music. So, yeah.
And then, so you got your EP. Is there any other EPs or is it singles?
I released a mixtape in 2023 that had 6 songs. And other than that, it's just singles. I think I have about 18 songs in total out. Maybe
Okay.
more, probably more, probably more. Yeah, no, I lost count.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And are they all originals, or do you do any covers or anything?
I do covers during my live shows, but I haven't released any covers. I don't know. I've got a cover of Paramore actually on my YouTube, but it was from a live show. It was just a really nice recording that someone recorded beginning to end. I was like, okay, I can put this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'm not currently interested in recording a cover to put on streaming sites and then have to chase up licensing and all of that. It's just, I'll stick to the original stuff.
Yeah,
It
no,
makes
fair
my
enough.
life easier.
Fair enough. And then,
Yeah.
do you prefer the performing aspect, or do you like the writing and creation part of it?
I'm gonna be greedy and say I like a bit of both.
Yeah.
I like creating until the point it gets frustrating and like it's like okay, this isn't working, but it's not working because it's bad. It's just not working either because I'm not in the right headspace or I haven't finished living the story to write about it, or maybe the production isn't right. It's just finding the right kick sound. When I get to that point, I'm just like, do you know what? I'm gonna leave this song alone. I can't be bothered. So I like creating to that point, and especially when you're with people in the room, you're always laughing, you're having fun, you're talking, you're being vulnerable. That's lovely. Um, but the other side isn't. I love performing because when I'm performing and I'm talking to people, I think I like the talking to people in both aspects.
Yeah.
Talking, working with people when things are going right. But I used to, I don't as much anymore. I think it's probably because I've done a lot of gigs. But I used to get really nervous before gigs. I used to have really bad anxiety, so I hated performing. Now because I've done it a lot, it's not bad. I think it's just the thing of it's still a bit foreign to me. Um, but I don't like the feeling of after a show. I feel like so exhausted the minute I finish singing because it feels like I've literally just given everything and
Yeah.
I need to recharge. I don't like that feeling because then that's when everyone wants to talk to you and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, that was so amazing!" I'm just like, "Oh my clock, I need silence." And I feel so bad. I was like, I want to talk to everyone, but I have no energy because I'm
Yeah.
literally just giving you everything on stage. So that's why I like bits of both and not the entire thing of any.
That's fair enough. I think I'm about the same.
Yeah.
I think I prefer the performing more, but yeah, definitely the second you get off stage, like another time we've got to take all our gear off, so it takes like bloody ages. Everyone's still trying to talk to you, and you're like, just let me get
Yeah,
all this off,
yeah,
and then let me get beer and go to the loo, and then
yeah,
and then maybe I
yeah.
might be ready to talk. You know, there's a lot of the time. And how does your recording process kind of go? Do you or writing, I suppose, writing process more? Do you do a song to completion, or is it more like you start a little song and then you're like, I'm not really seeing where that's going?
I used to write songs to completion because I hated leaving things undone. But
Yeah.
now I understand that sometimes you need to walk away so that you can just do other things, marinate, forget it exists, and then come back with fresh eyes. So I have a lot of half songs chilling,
Mm.
waiting for me to come and finish them, which I will do very soon. So yeah, I used to write songs in full, but now I don't anymore because it's more about getting it right to what I want as opposed to having the song for the sake of having the song.
Yeah, you can always use the little things. If you're doing a new song, be like, oh, you know what would be perfect if I
Yeah.
get that other idea I had and marry it up. Hopefully, is what
Yeah.
is what a lot of people do. But yeah, there's benefits to both. I think because a lot of time people will be like, I need to get this whole idea out, and then just get, even if it sounds awful or not great, just try and get it to a almost finished state, so I can
Yeah.
kind of see where it's going. But that's what we started doing a bit now. My seat keeps falling down. That's what we started doing now is do a song to completion, even if it takes bloody ages, and then we can just be like, that's that done. We might never use it, but well, kind of thing. It works for us, kind of. Except it's taken us like, I don't know, we've been doing an album now for almost like 3 years, and we've only properly finished like 3 songs maybe, which is quite scary.
That is
We've got to
scary.
do like at least 7 more songs, and
Yeah.
we've had almost like 20 odd songs planned, and we've just like almost not quite scraps, but like grown different ideas from. Don't want to do an album. We're gonna wait. We really want to wait until we get like hopefully signed, and then
Nice.
just get that money, and then make an album. Rather
Yeah.
than, because it's expensive, because one of the EPs we did cost quite a bit of money. Like
Oh goodness.
doing music is expensive.
It's not cheap and it's not for the faint-hearted.
No, no, no. You can't just, well, you can just do it in your bedroom, I suppose, but I don't know, we've kind of strived for this, not quite perfectionist, but we want it to at least be something we're proud it sounds nice, and
Yeah.
sometimes just spending the extra money, it was a bit worth
Yeah.
it. It was a good experience. And that's all it is. It's all about experiences.
Yeah.
What's I gonna say? Oh, we got a couple more.
Okay.
So, what would you say is like your greatest accomplishment, either as an artist or as an individual? If you want them, if you want them separately or together.
Staying alive. Waking up in the morning in this economy and this life, it's
Yeah.
an accomplishment. I think we need to, start acknowledging that every day we wake up and choose to actually do something, you've accomplished something. Well done. Because it's not easy. It's very easy to give up. So, let's acknowledge the little stuff. Um, I don't know. I think definitely not giving up either in my personal life or in my musical career is definitely my biggest accomplishment because there've been so many things to pinpoint it on one just kind of feels like I'm betraying the other. So the fact that I'm still going and because of that there are other achievements that come from me continuing to go on. I guess that going on is the achievement in itself then.
Sorry. Yep. Yeah, it's taking those little victories.
Yeah.
Every little victory, every day can be an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You put for it, and also ask, almost spinning on that. What would you say is the hardest thing about being a musician?
It's expensive. It's
Yeah,
expensive. The genre that I do is very click and very who you know versus who likes you. based. So it is a bit of a mental fuck, pardon my language, trying to navigate social relationships that aren't always, and social cues that aren't always obvious to pick up, and like realizing, okay, not to do this, not to do that, not to say this. It's just a lot of that, and it's just like, on top of doing that, I then have to write a good song, make sure I record it well, and produce it well, and get it mixed and mastered, and then release it, and then make sure I've done pre-promotion and post-promotion and during promotion, and make sure there's visuals, so content, and make sure there's this and that, make sure your masters are recorded. It's just too much. It's just too much to do. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Even just buying like the simplest of equipment is so expensive for music, and
My God, so expensive.
you got to be somewhat crazy to do it. I think that's what we
Yeah,
always say. You got to have that little bit of insanity going on,
yeah,
or that strive to really want to do what you do.
yeah, definitely.
So, what would you say is like your big aim currently?
To be financially reliant on music. Obviously streaming doesn't pay. Big up Spotify for paying us pennies.
Yeah,
Yeah. But to be able to rely on music work for my day-to-day living, so being able to charge for writing and producing, as well as making some sort of money from my streaming and merchandise, and being able to charge for when I do gigs. Um, just things like that would be my priority. I'm not too concerned about fame at this point. I just want money,
yeah.
payment. Yeah.
Don't have to work a 9 to 5 and just do.
Right. If I'm working, let it be that because I want to work, so I'm not having to churn out so many hours and burn out there.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that would be the aim, the dream in the next year or so.
yeah. Because that's what we find is you get paid for a gig, but then when you take into account petrol and then maybe staying over there and then food, all of a sudden you're very quickly going down, back into the
Yeah.
red, just for a little gig. But sometimes worth it, especially with shirts. Like do. You, what kind of do you have merch in that you sell at shows?
Yeah, I do have merch. I just re-upload, re re what's the word? Restocked, that's the
Yeah,
word. And I got new designs for the EP era. But I think people really preferred my first set of merch, so I might get that redone, just so I have both.
yeah.
But I've got hoodies, t-shirts, and posters and stickers this time round. The first time round, I had t-shirts and tote bags.
Fair enough. And do you sell? Do you have physical CDs for your EP and everything?
No, I
Oh,
don't have physical CDs. I just don't. I know my fan base currently, and I know they don't do CD players. They're very much
yeah,
either YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music.
yeah,
Maybe occasional people on Tidal. But a lot of them don't. They're very online streaming people. That being said, once I do have the funding and the maybe a bigger fan base, I know I will do vinyl press like records because I know people like to collect those.
yeah.
So
Definitely. That's what we've been looking down into doing, but
yeah,
they are quite expensive just to do, just to get a vinyl press. And we're
yeah,
like, I think something we'll probably do when we have an album ready to go. We'll do the album
yeah,
on vinyl.
yeah,
That's what we think, and it looks cool to have it on your little merch stand. Be like, look at our cool vinyl with
yeah,
our artwork on and everything. Isn't that cool? Almost seems a bit more official.
yeah.
Whether or not people will buy it now is, you know,
That's the question. Yeah.
another question. Right. Is there any new stuff you've got coming up, or or close to releasing, or
I'm trying to sort that out. Trying to sort that out. I've got a stack load of demos because, like I said, I started writing the initial EP 2 years ago, and a lot of songs that were meant to be on the project got not scrapped because they still existed, but they got swapped out for songs that I made along the way. So I do have like a backlog of demos, not as much as before, thankfully. But and a few people have heard them, so a few of them, a few people are like, "When are you releasing this? When are you releasing this? We're waiting. When are you releasing this?" It's just like, okay, now I need to go get artwork sorted. Now I need to start doing this and start doing that. So there will be stuff coming out soon. I'm just trying to figure out what to do and when to do it, and if I really want to do it. So
Still the priorities. So I
yeah,
so I know what road to go down.
it is.
And then I think we're just about done with all the questions. If you want,
Okay.
is there anything you would like to plug, or anything else you would like to say or promote?
Thank you for having me.
That's
This
all
has been
right.
lovely. I have a show tomorrow, Thursday, the 1st of May. Oh gosh, we're in May already.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah. The link is in my Instagram bio. If you can also follow me on TikTok, it's the same as my Instagram. My handles are at Ideli Music, so at sign IDELE Music. I'm trying to get 1K followers on TikTok so that I can have a link in my bio because TikTok are so rude.
That is really rude, isn't it? It's awful.
So rude. I could go live. I
Yeah.
could do so much stuff, but I can't have a link in my bio. So I'm trying to do that. And I'm also in a competition to feature on an album with Timbaland and win some money, which, as I said, music is expensive. So I need the money. And I'd also like to work with him. That also is in my Instagram bio. So if you could vote for me, there's free votes available. But if you can spare a coffee, that is also appreciated. So yeah, that's all quite a bit, but that's all I have to plug.
That's all right. Well, the more that the more you got to plug, the better, I suppose. Being busy.
No. Yeah, we're busy bee.
Fair enough. Right. So thanks for joining us. Well, me. Well, I suppose us. I speak for Original One currently. It's been lovely having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Well, if you ever want to come back on, let us know. If you've got anything else, with your next EP, maybe you can come back on. Obviously,
Sweet.
whenever, to give us a shout. So yeah, follow Ideli Music at Ideli Music on everywhere. Watch the videos, stream on Spotify or Tidal or probably Apple Music. Everything. Find them everywhere. And then thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. Goodbye. I need to press the button. Where's the button? Oh, hang on. Oh, I've lost YouTube. End the stream. End. Okay, there we go. It is done. It was all over.
Thank you so much.
That's all right. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.